Hi there. Thanks for tuning in, Financial Algebra All-Stars. I hope you're having a great day. We're going to be talking a little bit about outliers, some box and whisker plots. If you're taking statistics currently, those might be terms that you've heard of before. If you haven't heard of them before, hopefully we can get you all suited up, get you a little bit more familiar with those terms. Hope you're having a great day. We recently talked about classified ads, which is an opportunity for us to buy cars or potentially have listings for cars in the newspaper. We talked about how we sometimes can pay per line of dialogue. And let's say, for example, that you were going to buy a car and you have a few ways that you can get a hold of this car. Let's say that you have the option to buy from Carvana or Craigslist or the dealership or buy it used from a friend. Let's say that you have a few options with how you can buy this car. In particular, and again, not as an endorsement, let's say that it's going to be a Honda car. You could compare prices, which is something we should always be doing. You know, we don't want to pay too much for something. We don't want to pay an exorbitant amount. We want to pay something that makes sense, you know? So what we'll see today is a way that we can see if the price that we're paying is pretty correct with how much the car is worth. So we'll do that. So let's say that we had 5 offerings for a car. We had the option to buy a car, a Honda, for $12,000, $11,500, $12,400, $10,900, along with $11,800. Okay, so we have 5 options there. These are some statistics terms that might throw you off, and maybe you didn't expect to cover statistics here, but most of these things you already know about. The median is going to be the middle number. Of course, if you list all of the numbers in ascending order, in this case, the 12,400 is the smallest. We know that the 12,400 is the largest, whereas 10,900 is the smallest. And so the median would, you know, you've been doing this since, geez, I don't know when, elementary school, where you get all of those numbers in a row and you keep kind of chucking away until you get to that number in the middle. That number is your median, which in this case would be 11,800 as seen here. The average, you've been taking this for years, add everything up, divide it by the number of terms. So you'd be taking the sum of the one car, the other car, adding all that up, dividing by 5. But why would we divide by 5? What do you think about that? Why would we want to divide by 5 if we're taking the mean or the average in this case? Mode, most frequent, number that occurs the most often. That makes sense. Hopefully you're okay with these terms because we're going to add a few more things in before we move forward. So now let's say that we have our additional 5 offers, but now let's say that, I don't know, maybe we go on the sketchy internet and we get a 6th offering for $6,200, which is going to kind of throw things off. So let's see why that throws things off. Well, why do you think $6,200 throws things off in this case? Well, it's $4,700 from the next closest car. And that throws things off. And actually, we have a term for this type of price where it's just, it seems really far-fetched. It's not normal. Maybe it's a super good deal. Maybe we want to capitalize it, but it's something that we would want to take a little bit of a closer look at. So interestingly enough, if we see a number that's pretty far out there, we can call that an outlier. And these throw things for quite a whirl because they skew the data. They'll throw off the average because now this average just dropped from 11,720 down to 10,800. And the median has also shifted slightly. So notice this term, although it seems like a wonderful deal, is kind of messing up with our data, making us think that the car is maybe not worth that much, or the pretty much that car is not worth that much. But you know, maybe this person who's offering it for $6,200 just doesn't know what their car is worth. maybe we're getting lucky in that sense. So one way that we could take a look at all of this data in a nice, pretty organized way is with what's called a box and whisker plot, where we see here, this just looks like a box, this looks like a line. But what we just did, and I'll show you how to do all this, you can do it through your calculator, hit it being stat, and clicking edit. What I did here was input all of my potential values, potential prices for this car, of what I could buy the car for. So I have pretty much everything that we just looked at, but I've now switched the outlier from 6,200 to 10,000. Hope that's okay with you. And so how I can get a hold of that box and whisker plot, once I've typed in everything, I can go to second, zoom, psych, not zoom, just hit zoom, and then you can either scroll down to 9, which is going to zoom in on the actual box and whisker plot, because if you just try to do graph, sometimes it doesn't always work. Maybe let's try it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of already altered this a little bit, but if you hit zoom and then 9, you'll see where this is. So let's click trace and let's see what information we have here. Well, lo and behold, we have our minimum, which was definitely 10,000. So that was our minimum, the smallest amount. Let's see what else we have as we scroll along this. We hit, oh, nice, a few more terms. So we have Q1. What's Q1? Q1 is the start of where I think the important information is, because if you think of this as a scale of 100% for this entire graph, Q1 is at the 25% mark. So think about that. If all of your work is on the span of 100%, Q1 is a quarter into that data. In this case, it's the $10,900. So in this case, we could say Q1 is $10,900. Let's keep tracing here. Let's see what else is on this. We scoot along, we hit the median. And again, everything's highlighted down here. So median, we talked about that a little bit ago. It's kind of the dead set middle. So the median with $11,650. And what's cool is that this is actually the halfway point for all of our data, even though it doesn't look it. So this again isn't drawn to scale because we have 10,000, which is kind of an outlier. It's kind of out there away from everything. But if we keep this going, we hit Q3, which, what do you think Q3 is representing? Hopefully you're saying the 75% mark of everything. And then finally, concluding with the maximum, which again was the highest amount. Hopefully we're not paying for this. This was a max. So we got a lot of information here. If you run some quick math, well, from the beginning, let me switch this up. So if you were going to run from here to here, that's definitely 50% of all the data. So what about from here to here? How much do you think that's going to be? Well, to jump from 50 to 100%, that would be the remaining 50% of the data. It's kind of cool. It's all there. And so as we look at this collectively, we can get a better idea of how this is all like kind of helpful, because we know what the maximum price is, and we're probably going to try and avoid paying $12,400. But in my eyes, if we can get it in that middle 50%, which in this case would be from 10,900 to 12,000, it's probably a pretty good price. So again, if we can kind of get it in between this box here, chances are it's a good price. If you're paying a little bit more than 11,650, you know, it's okay. And again, you can get a hold of that if you just keep clicking through after hitting trace. But there's a lot of good information here. You can kind of get an idea of what the best type of price you should be aiming for is. Of course, getting it for a little less, nothing wrong with that, assuming everything works okay. But that's what I had in mind if I was given all of these options and had to kind of narrow it down. And so I also wanted to show you an example that dealt with the outliers. So a quick run through on this. We see that the way left part of the box and whisker isn't always necessarily the minimum. We see in this case that we have this minimum x here of 10, definitely seems like an outlier because it's not even with the box or the whisker. So in this case, and I'll make a note of it, we have an outlier here. And we also have an outlier here. Even though this is the maximum, it's also an outlier. And all of the good information is in between here and here. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, holler, let me know. Thanks for watching.